Hello everyone, welcome to another video from Fantasy Football Scout. It is the most important video of the week. It's been a while since I've said that. Neil, it's been a while since we did a team news video.
It is, yeah. Was it about 6 weeks? Something like that. Maybe even longer.
Oh my God, has it been that long? Wow, it's been a very long time. I mean, you've had the unenviable task of listening to all the press conferences again, trying to work out who's going to start for your predicted lineups. We've got last minute worries and concerns for big name players that are in a lot of people's squads. So let's just go straight into it. We've got loads of stuff to talk about. Let's go straight to the first match of the festive schedule, which is Brentford versus Spurs. And let's start with the home team.
Brentford, yes. Probably not top of many managers' shopping lists, but they are... they've possibly got one player back, and that's Janssen. The others who were out before the World Cup, that's Hickey, Strakosha, Aja and Baptiste. I think they're all still out. And the big talking point, of course, of Brentford is Ivan Toney. At the moment, we think he's available for selection. I think that FA charge he's got until, is it the 3rd or 4th of January to answer it? So I assume that means he's free to play until that point. But obviously, if you were thinking about getting him in and you hadn't heard this news, then there's a very... yeah, basically. There's a big doubt hanging over his game time beyond, I think, Gameweek 19. And he could be out for some time if he's banned.
So is he able to play? He hasn't been formally charged yet.
Yeah, we think so. I mean, I've seen a few quotes from today's presser, and it was more talk about what Thomas Frank had in line in future, but whether he'd dip into the market or what his plans were without Tony. But I think I'm right in thinking that he's free to play for now. And then whatever punishment is meted out in January, given what's happened in the past with Trippier, I think that was a fairly lengthy ban. We could be looking at months and months and months if he is found guilty.
Yeah, don't buy Ivan Toney, I think is the message from this. How about Spurs? There is investment in some of their assets, particularly with the likes of Kulusevski and Kane. What do we reckon about their lot?
Yeah, so Richarlison's out. We knew that. He picked up a hamstring injury in Brazil's final World Cup game, and Conte said today there's another 3 or 4 weeks away from a return, so that'll probably put him out until, I think there's a gap at the end of January, so maybe till February now. A bit of a mixed bag on the late returnees from the World Cup. So they had 3 players involved in the final weekend in Qatar. So Ivan Perisic is available. He's back in training and he's free to play this Boxing Day. Romero's not. He's not going to be back until game week 18. So he was obviously victorious with Argentina. And Lloris is only going to be on the bench against Brentford. Which means a start for Fraser Forster between the posts. So
Fraser Forster,
good, the bad, and ugly, yeah, for Spurs. So you got one in, one out, and then one who's on the bench. But yeah, obviously Lloris would come back into the thinking from game week 18, and then he's got the double provisionally anyway.
And we think Matt Doherty's going to start.
We think so, yeah. 4 goals, I think, in 3 mid-season friendlies for Doherty. Been playing on the left as well, quite a bit. With Perisic out and Sessegnon's has been injured. He came back on the bench against Nice on Wednesday, but he didn't get on, so I don't think he's played any minutes since November. So Doherty looks a favourite for that left wing back spot. Perisic is back now, of course, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the bench. And then on the other side, Emerson did come back from a minor knock on Wednesday, played 74 minutes. Jed Spence has been ill, although he had some game time as well. So I think Doherty probably has decent short-term game time prospects. Beyond that, of course, the rotation will kick in.
Yep, excellent. Just before we move over, have you seen one of these, Neil?
Is that a can of Carabao?
That is a can of Carabao.
That's the first one I've ever seen.
There you go. Saw it in the shop today. Couldn't resist trying it. It is very average.
Like the competition itself.
Exactly, yep. Yeah. Very fitting. Palace next. Palace and Fulham. Quite a few people overlooking Palace assets. They've got 2 good fixtures, Fulham and Bournemouth, coming up. We'll start with the home team before we get into the Mitrovic update. But what's happening with our favourite player, first of all, at Palace?
Yeah, Nathan Ferguson. He's still on the injury list, but he is going to be back in training in the new year. Code Vieira. MacArthur's behind him. He's doing individual work. So those 2 were the red flags before the World Cup, and that is still the case. We think that Sam Johnson might be out as well for 2 months with a back problem. That hasn't been confirmed, but I think officially, at least not that I've seen, but it was reported the other day. But I think otherwise they're in good shape. Injury-wise, there is a suspension, and that is Mark Gahey is out of Gameweek 17, but he'll be back thereafter.
Yep. And Fulham, because we were rocked a bit today with the news that Mitrovic is a doubt.
He is. He missed out on Fulham's final pre-season friendly, which we didn't think too much of because there were other World Cup returnees who weren't involved in that one, João Palhinha and Robinson as well. But he is a doubt for this match, and it's the same problem that was plaguing him before Qatar. So it's his foot again, same thing that's been niggling away at him. And Silva says that he's going to try and get him in the best physical condition to see if he's fit enough for Palace. If not, the next one, so game week 18, let's hope. So not even a certainty about the following game, which comes in quick succession, of course, with the turnaround at Christmas. So he's now flagged, and if you were Uman and Aaron, because he's on 4 yellow cards as well, but does have that double game week around the corner, that might sway you to go without, and then maybe revisit him come game week 20 if he is fit and free of the suspension tightrope by that point. I think otherwise, Robinson's a doubt as well, returned from the World Cup. Cabano's still out. Solomon's back in training. He's been out since game week 1, I think. So they've got a few problems, but Mitrovic is the one who's obviously the big concern for FPL managers.
Yeah, we're going to see more people moving to Martial, aren't we? Around the same price.
And Nketiah.
And Nketiah, absolutely. Oh, not the most exciting looking game on paper. Up next, Everton versus Wolves. Wolves do have the new manager in place, of course. But let's start with the home team. How have Everton come out of the World Cup break?
Pretty good. So they've got one new injury, and that's James Garner, who's backup midfielder anyway. He's joined Townsend on the sidelines. Cody can't play for this one because he's on loan from Wolves, so he's ineligible. And the one remaining name we haven't discussed is Calvert-Lewin. So he's back in training, and he had 3 injuries to recover from over the World Cup break. Injury-free, we think, but a doubt for Wolves because of match fitness. And Lampard was saying he doesn't want to take any risks with them with the games coming thick and fast. I think apart from that, they're all free. So I think Mina and Davies picked up injuries in Australia a month ago, but they are now, if we take Lampard's words for it, they are now fine as well. Moving on to Wolves, shall I?
Yeah, just with Calvert-Lewin. Yeah. Surely Calvert-Lewin starts this game if he's had a nice big rest.
I don't think he will. I think by the sounds of it from Lampard's comments, I think it sounds like he's preserving him. Mope, I think, started that last behind closed door game against Villa, which was, I think, earlier this week. We didn't see the lineups for that, but I think he scored. So I would be surprised if Calvert-Lewin starts this one. I think he'll come on at best as a substitute. He might miss out altogether. But they have got 2 more games coming in quick succession over the festive period.
Yep. Okay. And Wolves?
Yeah, Wolves, 3 players out long term. That's Neto, Chiquinho, and the guy whose name I can't pronounce, Kalajic. And
pretty good.
But they have got 2 forwards back in the shape of Costa and Jimenez, and they're about to sign another one, of course. But he won't be able to play it until January. His name escapes me. Is it Cunha? I can't remember his name.
No idea.
Anyway, he's not eligible for this one. 2 players who missed out in midweek in the EFL Cup. That was Johnny and Boubacar Traore. They have part trained since then, so they're going to be assessed ahead of Everton. So this fixture, of course, is the battle of the budget defenders, both of whom have had a bit of game time over the mid-season. So that's Patterson and Hugo Bueno. Patterson started both of the friendlies in Australia for Everton. Coleman wasn't there, of course, he was on duty with Ireland. But I think he assisted in that behind closed doors game the other day, so that suggests he started. And Bueno has started under the new regime as well. He began the last match. Interestingly, Aït-Nouri came on but didn't replace Bueno. Aït-Nouri was playing further forward as sort of an advanced midfielder. So Bueno played the full 90 minutes of that final game for Wolves. So hopefully that bodes well.
Excellent. I mean, he's a bit of a gem, isn't he, at 3.9 if he's going to nail down that spot. Yeah. You got him in your draft at the moment?
Yeah, he is. He takes set plays as well, or at least a share of them, and does get forward a bit. I mean, I'm not expecting great things from him, but as a fifth defender, emergency,
it's great. Yeah,
to call upon. Yeah, which we might be doing with all these viruses around.
Yep, absolutely. I'm recovering from one as well. It's not been too much fun. Leicester Newcastle next. Interesting game this, and another popular player for Leicester, a bit of a differential for some people, is now a doubt as well. So
Yeah.
the pool of players reduces with every team that we look at.
Yeah, I mean, Maddison was again absent from a lineup in midweek, which we thought might be just post World Cup break, but turns out there's something else behind it, and it's again, like Mitrovic, it's a niggling issue. It's a knee problem for Maddison. Roger says there's ongoing issues there, but they're going to give him every chance to be fit for this. Obviously, with the yellow flag there, why would you take the chance as an FPL manager, especially against a team like Newcastle who've got a decent back line statistically? Elsewhere, Justin, Bertrand, Pereira all still out. Johnny Evans has now joined them again on the sidelines. He's often there, of course, but injury prone himself. He limped off against Troyes about 2 weeks ago, I think it was, in a friendly, and he hasn't recovered. He's got a calf problem and going to be on the sidelines for some time. But more positive news: Dewsbury Hall is back. He's fit. He missed out in the League Cup, but he's now available.
They just played, don't they? That's 3 of their first choice defenders and potentially their talisman as well.
Yeah, I mean they did have whether they have Justin and Pereira out already, and Evans, I think, actually. So the back line was probably what it is going to be this weekend. So Castagna, Woodfice, Amati, and Thomas at left back.
Yep.
So it is held together just about by sticker tape and plasters and stuff like that. But it was doing the business before the break. I think you would say now though that the fixtures are turning a little bit for the worse.
Face was a good signing. He's the
key. I think if he's there, I think they've got a chance.
Yep. Your team then, Newcastle. You just described them as a good backline, and a team no one wants to face. Do you ever think you'd be saying those words?
No, even my wildest dreams. I think at the start of the season, I did think we'd be sort of top half, challenging maybe for 7th or 8th, and we might still end up there. But yeah, it's been brilliant so far. And I did a report on Newcastle for the site over the break, and the stats are really good. Like the underlying numbers are, we're not there by fluke at the moment. What you would say is that we're only probably a couple of injuries away from being in trouble. I think with Trippier and Pope and players like that. But for now, it looks decent. I think Isaac's the only sort of notable name who's out. He's still not going to be playing much over Christmas. Might miss the entire calendar festive program. So 3 games. He's out running and kicking a ball, says Howe this morning, but they're being very careful with him. Apart from that, I think it's pretty good. Dummett and Kraft, who are just backup players, they're still out. St Maximum had been injured over the mid-season break, very, very briefly, just a minor knock. But it looks like more substitute roles for him for the time being. Howe's saying they're still building up his fitness. So I think it'll be the team that beat Bournemouth in midweek, going again.
So no major concerns, the likes of Wilson, Almer and Trippier. That's the main thing.
Seem okay, yep.
Good. Southampton versus my team Brighton next. Southampton, another team with a new manager. Got a win in the Cup, the Carabao Cup as well. Thank you. Let's start with the home team again. I mean, I don't think there is actually one player, Perraud for Southampton, is attracting a bit of interest.
Yeah, I stuck him on the watch list about a month ago because the fixtures were good and his stats are really, really good. Like his attacking stats. I think the top shooting defender in FPL this season, more shots than anybody else. Right. Yeah. The one thing you would say, of course, about Southampton is they just don't keep clean sheets. Like 1 all season, that's the lowest in the entire division. So it's very much fixtures over form in terms of Saints. Under a new manager, of course, and he was one of 3 to deliver their Gameweek 17 presser after the EFL Cup in midweek. So it was recorded straight after that cup tie, held back. So the latest injury information is a bit lacking from these 3. And Jones, at the time, I think, said that Walcott had come off with a calf problem. Lavia wasn't risked because he's still building up his fitness after a long time out. The 2 names who were missing in midweek were Larios and Livramento, 2 fullbacks, and they look unlikely to feature. We haven't heard anything else since then, of course, since was it Tuesday night or Wednesday night whenever Jones held his presser. So obviously that's nearly a full week between then and game week 26, so anything could happen.
Yep. And Brighton, I mean, we've got our share of players missing as well, including a nice little holiday for our World Cup winning midfielder.
Yeah, I think the biggest holiday of everyone who's come back from the
I
World
know.
Cup. He's getting
I mean, he
a full
deserves
2 weeks,
it.
isn't he?
He deserves it. Yeah.
I think De Zerbi said that. I think some players are getting 7 to 10 days. Perisic is already back after 6 or something. But yeah, McAllister's got a fortnight off. It looks like. Maybe he'll come back a bit sooner, but he's definitely out of this one anyway. He's not going to feature in Gameweek 17. Injury wise, let me try and find Brighton. Here we are. Yakamoto is obviously long term. 2 new ones picked up in a pre-season friendly or mid-season friendly, and that's Webster and Welbeck. So Welbeck was kind of in and out the starting 11 anyway, tiny bit towards the end of the autumn. Trossard started the last game up top. Webster, of course, is part of that first choice backline or has been. And his sounds the most serious. So they're both out of Game Week 17. De Zerbi said Welbeck might return for Game Week 18, but couldn't put any certainty on Webster. So he might be out for Christmas and New Year, which could open up a space for Colwell. Could be Veltman coming in the second half. What do you think? Because it was Colwell in midweek and Dunk.
Well, we weren't impressive in that game.
No.
I mean, against Charlton. Yeah, surely Colwell comes in. I'd imagine. We go back to a 4 with. I mean, Gross was at left back, wasn't he, or something?
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
that guy. I don't know. He seems to me like the least versatile player ever, but can seemingly play anywhere. It's absolutely.
Well, he played right back when he had to. Because I think Veltman, but then the Veltman came back before the international break, and he still started at right back. And then as you said, played at left back midweek. So
I know, incredible.
God knows where he's going to end up.
Incredible. I would avoid our defence. Is my kind of take on this. We've got injuries, and I don't think we're going to keep a lot of clean sheets under De Zerbi.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, Trossard is back and missed a penalty against Charlton, so he's back doing what he does best, failing to floating to deceive. We're halfway through the team news video. Do give us a like if you're watching and enjoying. Do make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. Obviously, content's back in full force, and we'll be running it right up until the end of the season. Also, if you use Fantasy Football Scout in any capacity at all, please do take part in the mid-season survey. There's a link in the description below. We'd love to get all your thoughts about everything that happens on site. Editorial, which is Neale's domain, video, my domain, things like social and the members area and everything. So it doesn't matter if you're a free user, a premium user, whatever. If you've got something to say about the site, we would love to get your feedback. So please do take part if you have 10 minutes free. Okay, next game. Villa versus Liverpool. Poor old Liverpool. But we will start with Villa as the home side. Another World Cup winning player who's off on his merry holidays, I think.
Yeah, I laughed at this. Emery said he's going to have a word with him when he gets back about his celebrations. His inappropriate behaviour. He's going to get a telling off when he gets back.
I don't think he'll care.
No, I don't think he will. He's not going to play in this one anyway. Martinez, he's going to be still on his holidays. So looks like Robin Olsen between the sticks. He himself had an injury actually, but it's minor in nature. And Villa said this afternoon that providing he comes through training on Saturday, he will be between the sticks. On Boxing Day, pretty quiet, I think, apart from that. Carlos and Coutinho were pre-existing injuries. I think Coutinho's back in training, but hasn't featured in any of the friendlies yet. Rams is the other name of note. He hadn't featured since, I think, late November in the friendlies. He's back in training, but isn't fit enough for this game. So he's obviously nearing a comeback. He's just not going to be in contention for Liverpool.
Yep. And how about Liverpool? I mean, problems already with Jota and Diaz out, and now another one potentially.
Lots to report. Yeah, Firmino's out. It looks like slightly vague update from Klopp. He said Milner's going to be out for a couple of games, and then said same for Bobby, but that he's already on the better side of it, and we're taking it day by day. So slightly mixed messages. But if we assume that Firmino's going to be out for certainly game week 17 and 18, and then game week 19 actually is really quickly coming around. I think Liverpool's got the shortest turnaround between 18 and 19. So it doesn't give much time for him to come back, which you think would further the game time prospects of Darwin, who had a bit of a off night last night with his shooting.
We'll say that a few more times between now and then.
Yeah, he's hot and cold, doesn't he? He scored a brace, didn't he, against who was it before the international break? I can't remember now. Anyway, Southampton wasn't it? Southampton.
Yeah.
Scored twice and then goes and blows 4 chances last night. But as someone said on, I think it was Simon March on Twitter, the last time Liverpool and City met in a cup clash before a season restart, one striker missed a lot of chances. It was Haaland that time. It went on the bag.
Again.
Yeah. So I think he might be in my squad, Darwin, but we'll see. So Firmino and Milner out of this one, along with the longer term ones like Diaz, Jota, and Arthur. Trent is also flagged. He missed out last night because of an illness or a virus, which is going around the country at the moment. Now he's going to be assessed. He's been partly back in training today, not fully, going to Klopp, and they're going to see how he goes over the next 72 hours before that Villa game. So don't be surprised if he doesn't quite make the starting 11 in this one. Maybe he's benched or has managed minutes, and then they have Gomez maybe at right back. Because it'll probably be Matip and Van Dijk at centre half. Konate's not going to be back for this one. He's been to the final with France in the World Cup, and he's not going to return to training until December the 27th. So it's Matip and Van Dijk at centre half, and then maybe Gomez covering for Trent at right back if needed, if he's not quite fit.
Yep. I think just on Haaland and Nunes, I think Haaland's about a 36% conversion rate this season.
Yeah.
Nunes is closer to 10%. So
it's 12 and 34, I think it is. I wrote about it last night, funnily enough, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So that's the difference between them. 12 and 34, wow. Okay, 4 more to go. Let's go over to Arsenal. I think everyone's probably aware of the Gabriel Jesus injury that's going to keep him out for a while, and a huge blow, Arteta says. Definitely a huge blow.
Yeah, still no time frame from Arteta, but I think Xhaka gave a game away a couple of weeks ago when he was saying it looks like 2 or 3 months, and which was reported elsewhere as well. So that could be February or March. So he's out. Reece Nelson's out as well for weeks. Still no Zinchenko. He's had a muscle problem for ages and didn't feature in any of the pre-season friendlies. Smith Rowe is close though. He's close to a comeback, so that will be competition for Martinelli perhaps, or indirectly Nketiah, because Martinelli could play through the middle. But obviously it'll take a while for him to be back up to speed. Apart from that, I think it's all right. Saliba is late back. I think he's coming back today, so that will be a late check on to see whether he's ready mentally and physically to play. Other World Cup players are back fine, I think, with the exception of Tomiyasu, who it was reported had a hamstring injury, but then after the mid-week friendly against Luton, Football London said it was just a rest for him, that he wasn't involved. Him and Tierney both got arrested for that one, so maybe he's fine. So just those 2 spots really, centre half and left back, I would say up for grabs. This team's pretty much settled for now. It's just whether or not Saliba's ready to come back in. If not, it'll be holding at centre half for like 1 game only.
Yep. And they're playing West Ham, who have got their problems up front.
Yeah, I was thinking of actually going without an Arsenal defender at the start because the fixtures aren't great from a defensive sense. But having seen this, and given the value of White, who's in my squad already, I think I'm going to keep him and play him for this one because they're probably without a striker, West Ham. Scamaca rolled his ankle in a friendly. Antonio missed it because of a calf problem, and they're both doubtful. Moyes said he had some hope, but the word doubtful was used for the pair of them. And he went on to discuss the possibility of Bowen playing through the middle, so he's obviously thinking about that. Quite a few problems elsewhere as well. So Cresswell hasn't played since the beginning of December. No, I don't think there was any mention of him in the broadcast section. It was a hamstring problem. No word on him. Zuma had knee surgery in November. No word on him. Aguerd came back from the World Cup with Morocco with both a groin problem and a virus. I think he's returning tomorrow to training. They're going to assess him. Cornea still hasn't recovered. So they've got quite a few issues heading into Boxing Day, which makes me even more confident about Arsenal assets. Because West Ham for years hasn't been an easy fixture, but they're not doing too well this season. And those injuries stacking up, that makes me more confident about Arsenal.
Yep. Okay, next a team that's getting a lot of investment, which is Chelsea, given they've got a very good run of games and then a double game week. Everyone wants to know. Give us the news, Neil. What's happening with Kepa and James? They're the 2 players that people want to know about.
It looks good. So James has been back in training and he got through 65 minutes in a midweek friendly. That was as far as Potter would go, I think. Obviously, there's not a complete clean bill of health there. Kepa, no mention of him in what I've seen so far, but he wasn't listed in the names of players who were injured. So hopefully that's good. And he was seen in training, I think, in a gallery of images. This was about a fortnight ago, I think, middle of December. So hopefully that all amounts to something good for Kepa. And in further good news for him, Mendy is obviously had some sort of issue. Potter said today that he's only had a couple of days of training with us, so I hope all that pounds towards a Kepa start and Kepa keeping his place, because he was Potter's first choice. Yes, Mendy was injured at first, but then Mendy became available and kept his place. And there is a thinking that Kepa's distribution's slightly better than Mendy, and Mendy's got a contract issue, so hopefully all of that adds up to good news for Kepa owners. A lot of report elsewhere as well. So Broja is out for the season. Kante is out for, I think, till March. Loftus-Cheek and Chilwell still aren't back, and they've had injuries since before the World Cup, so they're obviously semi-serious in nature. Ziyech and Kovacic aren't back yet. They haven't returned from the World Cup. Fofana's out again. He was on the cusp of a comeback. Re-injured himself against Brentford in that friendly on Tuesday, and he's out for a couple of weeks according to Potter. So at least it's not too serious. But yeah, a lot of flags there.
Yeah. Wow.
But the good news, hopefully, is that James and Kepa aren't amongst those discussed today in negative terms.
Mount? Do we know anything about Mount?
Well, yeah. Again, it seems all right, and I use the word "seems" because in the absence of a concrete update, there's always a chance. The thinking or the discussion was that he missed that Brentford game because of as a precaution, because I think it was tightness in a calf, I think it was. But we didn't get lineup information for that game, so there's no way of knowing for certain. Wasn't mentioned here by Potter, so we think he's okay. I'll keep tabs on that as the next 3 days goes. Of course, it's a Boxing Day deadline, so we've got a bit of time. We think he's all right. But like I say, I'll keep tabs on Chelsea insiders for the next few days. We've got till Monday before the deadline.
Yep.
But in the absence of a mention of it, and Potter's generally quite honest with team news. He doesn't try and avoid anything, so hopefully Mount's all right.
Oh, good all change. The pressure gets to him. Might
Could be,
start playing some mind games. Cover Bournemouth really quickly. I don't think anyone's going in with any Bournemouth players, but anything of note?
No, they're right at the bottom of my article. I'm just trying to find them. Yeah, Neto and Brooks I think are still out. Kelly's fit again. He's going to be assessed for match fitness. Lerma and Tavernier missed out in the cup. Lerma should be fine. Tavernier's a little bit behind him, but O'Neill's still hopeful. And a virus swept through Bournemouth as well on before that cup game. Rothwell and Pearson were two of the names who missed out. And nothing mentioned since. I think they're over the worst of it now, so getting bodies back.
Yep. United Forest next. Again, for some reason I've got a tiny little Manchester United logo on my screen, which is... let's get rid of that. One's enough. Let's talk about them. I mean, again, lots of investment in lots of their players. Rashford, Fernandes is getting mentioned. Martial. The defence, even though there isn't many defenders to really choose from. What can you tell us about their squad? Well,
annoyingly, this was one of the ones that was embargoed from Wednesday. So Ten Hag's post-EFL Cup presser. So there's nothing, almost like a full week separates then in Gameweek 17. So he said that he was expecting Martinez and Varane back soon. Didn't say whether that was going to be Gameweek 17 or not. Maguire missed out against Burnley with an illness, but again, that's 6 days between that game and Gameweek 17, so could recover in time. Darlow is the one that everyone wants to know about, I think, because he came back from the World Cup with a hamstring problem. Missed out midweek, and we had nothing new from Ten Hag, unfortunately, today, which was the embargoed section from that Burnley game. All that they said was that he'd come back with some problems and that they were assessing him. I don't think he's trained since, so obviously a big question mark over him for Gameweek 17. So that could be 3/4 of their first choice back line out if Martinez and Varane don't feature. One other line, and that's Sancho seems to have fallen out of favour and fitness. He's probably not going to be involved in this one.
Yep. And Forest, no Dean Henderson.
No Dean Henderson, a low knee, so ineligible to play United. And Hennessy was a doubt actually briefly, but Cooper is hopeful that he's going to be available. Same prognosis for Gibbs White and Aurier, hopeful according to Cooper. They missed out in that EFL Cup game. Apart from that, Kouyaté, Niakate, Richards and Bianconi are all out, red flagged. And the new signing, who's Scarpa, I think he's called, Brazilian, he can't play until January. Looks a prospect.
Mark is very excited.
Yeah, I saw a couple of bits of him in the mid-season friendlies. Looks good.
Cool. And then the last game then, which is on Wednesday?
Oh, yes.
Wednesday. Yeah. Which is Leeds versus Manchester City. Should be a good game, especially for Haaland playing against Leeds. Always exciting.
His boyhood club.
Absolutely. Let's start with Leeds. Start with the home team.
Yeah, lots of players flagged, but only 3 are definitely out, and that's Adams, suspended, Dallas and Sinistera. I think Gray might be as well, but he's obviously a rookie. I thought we've got 7 players yellow flagged. Melier, Bamford, Somerville, Click, Harrison, Cooper and Rodrigo. All of them flagged, but Jesse Marsh was optimistic about most of their chances. Said all of them, I think, should be back in training. Melier is a bit of a funny one because he's had glandular fever, and that can have other effects like chronic fatigue. So he's going to be assessed when he comes back in, but he's feeling good according to Marsh. Rodrigo and Cooper and Harrison, they were small injuries, precautionary in nature. Somerville, I wouldn't be banking on pitch time for him, by the way. He has been back in training or expected to, but he hasn't kicked the ball, I think, in 3 weeks. So maybe bench duty at first when he comes back. And Bamford is Bamford. It's match fitness with him. He had multiple injuries again, but he's back in training. But he sounds the least likely of that 7, I think, to feature.
Definition of knocks and niggles, I think, in the Leeds, the Leeds camp. And then finally, your favourite team to do these team news on, do the predictions for the team lineups.
I hate it so much.
Manchester City, what can you tell us?
Well, Pep was the third and final one, unfortunately, of the embargo trio. So we did actually get an update from Pep last night on it, and this was Diaz, and he's out, we think, for a month, according to one of the journalists. Pep didn't put that time frame on him, but he's arrived right with a hamstring injury, and he's definitely out of Gameweek 17. Phillips isn't fit. That's more match fitness, and of course Alvarez, one of the Argentine contingent, is unlikely to feature because he got, I think, 7 to 10 days off for City, so he looks very much doubtful for this one. Other than that, that's all we know on the injury front. But last night was mostly, I think, involved players who had stayed in Manchester or got back from the World Cup early. So the likes of Foden, Grealish, Cancelo, Bernardo, they were all on the bench. Whereas the likes of Mahrez, Palmer, Haaland, of course, De Bruyne, who came back from the group stage, they were all playing. So take a guess for the team sheet on the 28th, because Pep said that the players who came back from the World Cup are in better shape.
It's typical, isn't it? He says that and then benches them all in the first game and plays all once about the rest, and they win.
So I'll be looking at Luke's prediction before I make my own, because he knows what he's doing. But a lot of risk involved, and a quick turnaround from 17 to 18 as well, the shortest in the division.
Wow,
65 hours.
Okay, everyone keep your eye on Scout team news and predicted lineups as well, where you can see Neil's guess.
Pretty much
chucks a dart at a dartboard, and that's how he plays the lineup. Excellent stuff, Neil. It has been great talking to you again about the team news. As always, this will be my last video before Christmas as well. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching and all your support over the year, especially with the World Cup stuff and all these team news and everything. And Neil, thanks for your hard work as always with everything you do on site.
My pleasure, and Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrates it. And good luck with your teams, and we'll see you possibly in between Christmas and New Year.
Yes, absolutely. Bye, everyone.